Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
All right, I'm getting it together this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, mic's on. You can see me. Can you see me? I sound like Mr. Brown. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you in the Java Cafe this morning. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, and welcome to those of you that are still dealing with allergies. I think of you and remember you this morning because they're trying to sneak back up on me. I gave up on the medicine. I've been doing okay, but this morning, so if voice gets a little interesting and scratchy or whatever, please excuse me. Listen, the mayor is coming in just a few moments. Her and her team, they know I like when she's kind of like stable, not in the car. So she's probably somewhere getting settled, along with Mayor Wu, and we have a lot to discuss today with her. And what it's shaping up this year in like speed rounds with different topics. And so we're going to talk, of course, check in on her, Connor, the boys, and Mira. Also, what's going on with Open Streets. There's a press conference later today to talk about that. There's a new addition this year. We have a quote from our own good sister, small Black-owned business, Shauna Bright Consulting. We're going to share her quote with the mayor. We're also going to talk about Small Business Month. We're going to talk about some impact on business and the economy and jobs with the mayor's going to share some updates in reference to Madison Park High School, a great new initiative that she's going to share some information about. And in that, considering what's going on in the world of the federal government, I'm going to chat with her also about a lawsuit that the mayor filed on behalf of the city of Boston. Well, the city of Boston filed it, but her and her legal team is making it happen. So when she comes in, we will chat with her about that. Let's go in. And I don't think I turned on Instagram. Hold on, y'all. And why is my mouse just saying connected? Y'all know I don't need the stress. All right, let's go in the Java Cafe over on the Facebook side and see who is in the Java Cafe so far this morning. And as soon as the mayor comes in, we'll bring her in. Of course, Mama Java is the first person in the room. Good morning to you, Mother. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Donna Williams Bowen, good morning. Janky, good to see you in the room. Milton, excuse me. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the room. Also, Charlene, what's up, hun? Good to see you in the room. The Real Boston Media, their team is in the room. Good morning. Good to see you in the room. Sister Debbie as well. Also, Martine over on Instagram. Good to see you in the room. Block 2022 over on Instagram. Good to see you. Javon, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the room. Good morning. Do me a favor, everybody, and hit that like and share button. Invite others into this conversation. And just a reminder, we see also Nashville is in the building. Tennessee, Pastor Drumright is over on Instagram. Just for clarity, the mayor comes in because when she became mayor, I saw her doing steady appearances on other mainstream platforms, not to be named. And I reached out and I said, hey, can we do the same thing here with a different type of conversation on a community platform? And so it's literally been almost 4 years. And of course, this year, we know that, she's the incumbent mayor, but also candidate. There are 3 contesters so far. Mr. Kraft, Domingo Starosa, and also I believe there's someone actually out of works full time. Well, I don't know. Can you run for office for mayor? And I don't know, but there's somebody else running as well. And so Domingo, I'm sorry. We were in conversation for months about him coming on. He'll be coming on. The Kraft campaign, Mr. Kraft himself knows that I directly to him, he's welcome. And the other person I have not had any contact with. So we are doing, and let's make it clear. Am I favorable toward Michelle Wu? Yes. Do I support her? Yes. But there is a responsibility I have to open the platform and have a conversation with other candidates as well. And so speaking of that, our mayor just popped in. And we're going to take best use of her time. Charlene, thank you so much. And as the mayor's getting ready to come in, it's a couple of affinity months this month. It's also Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month as well. And so, Charlene, thank you for reminding us of that. Okay, so we can get our time with the mayor as much of it as possible before I get in trouble. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How you doing? I'm doing
I'm
well.
good.
I got to be real and say, because we're familiar, we know each other, and I can tell by folks' demeanor. How's the morning been, Mother Mayor?
We're in the start of Blaze's school soccer team. Do I look blurry to you? I feel I look blurry. I feel blurry. We're in the start of I forget what the name of the program is. It's a citywide soccer program through BPS. And to participate, you do soccer a couple days and then poetry a couple days, but you have to get to school early in the morning to do it. So we're on like a double schedule now where we have to get one out the door really early and then the other out the door. And then that's not even the baby getting settled.
I was going to say, Mira doesn't even care. She doesn't even care.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, we have a lot to talk about. And so, often I've challenged you, Mayor, I need you to answer this in about 2 minutes. And we know you have a lot of context. And there are a couple of things that I'm sure you're excited about to share. And so we did kind of do the check-in about you and the family, but I must just, how are you doing?
I'm good. The baby is almost 4 months old, which means she's starting to settle a little bit more into, just being able to go for longer without getting super hungry and sleep for a little longer. So I'm feeling like I'm back in it.
Okay. Speaking of back in it, I'm going to try to transition well with all of these subjects. Open streets. There is a press conference later today about open streets. And do you want to share some information about open streets? And then we'll talk about some of the impact that happens because along with Haitian Heritage Month, Asian and Pacific Islander Month, it's also Small Business Month. So what do you got to say about open streets this year?
Yeah, I love our open streets program. We hear from everyone who's been to it, whether you live in that neighborhood or you make it a thing to go to the destination of open streets. So if anyone's not familiar, it's when we close down a street to car traffic for usually it's 5 or 6 hours on a particular weekend day in the summer or summer into early fall. And everyone takes over the street. Small businesses put out tables. Kids are running and riding bikes and playing. There's music, people dancing, just information tables from community organizations. So it's really, in some ways, reminding us about how every space can be a public space, and it's huge for our small businesses. So this year, we're making the announcement about all of the schedule for upcoming open streets in Mattapan because we're doing an official Mattapan open streets for the first time in our program. Blue Hill Ave will be the street that is going to host all the fun. So the schedule is going to be Roxbury in July, Hyde Park in August, Dorchester in September, Blue Hill Ave in October, and then Center Street and JP in November. So
in November? Have you went that late before? October's usually been the latest, right?
Yeah, November 2nd. So
okay, never mind. Close to some other dates. Okay. So with the open streets, the past few years, there is, I want to read something to you and then you can figure out in the context of small business. I contacted a young lady this morning and I said, hey, the mayor's coming on and I want to ask if there's anything you wanted to share with her. And this is what she said. We are thankful for the opportunity to work with the city, the Office of Economic Inclusion and Equity and Tourism and other departments. As a team, we are reminded and we remind ourselves that we get to plan community events and bring joy to the neighborhoods. Excited to be in Mattapan, where my mom has owned a home for 30 years, and it's an honor. And she was intentional. She said, an ad privilege. It's an honor and privilege to be able to do this work in the neighborhoods I grew up in. Mayor, who do you think that greeting
is? That Miss Shauna?
That is from Miss Shauna. I told her you were coming on and I reached out and I said,
incredible. And we're so thankful to Shauna Bryant Consulting and the entire team. They do the hype, they set up the logistics, they do the outreach. And for the last several years, they've really been our key partner in making sure that people know about it, and that each open streets is also tailored to that particular community and the cultures and the organizations and residents that are in the area.
So I'm excited about that and excited to see her back on. You went through the process and she has it back. So that is awesome. Mayor, with that, we understand that data and research shows that if you occupy parks and you create spaces like this, though, let's be 100, we are well in our safety. There are incidents and sometimes narratives, that are asserted toward maybe not some facts. The reality of one incident is real for a lot of residents. But can we talk a little bit about summer safety and also where you would just mention this Saturday, as far as like youth job fair and things like that. But summer safety, where are we? There's some things I'm aware of just because of my role with the commission, but any updates that you would like to give? I know traditionally the city, Commissioner Cox, yourself, and those that are involved and partners usually do a press conference right before Memorial Day, because that's like the kickoff of the summer, and summer safety is a concern. Though we're doing well, we still have to aim, I believe, for zero. So any updates there? Yeah,
definitely. So first, as you mentioned, this Saturday is another student paid summer jobs job fair at the Reggie Lewis. We already have over 1,500 young people registered for it. So I'm really excited. This is one of the programs that we're known across the country for, and we've really kind of kicked it into high gear the last couple of years. So I had made a pledge. We call it our Mayor's Youth Summer Jobs Guarantee, that any BPS student who wants a paid summer job is guaranteed to get one. You just have to either come to a job fair or go online at boston.gov/futureboss, BOS, and you can browse all of the opportunities and options that are there. It's an incredible experience, we hear, for our young people, but also for employers. So if you are an employer you still have time to get involved and get in the action with us to host a young person or a cohort of students. They are amazing, and we can provide all the supports to make that partnership happen. Okay, so then bridging over into summer safety. Can I ask one question as you do that, man? You may be doing this, but just because I know it may come up as a concern. The last one, there was an issue. So anything you want to put in within that event and summer safety, just to blatantly just address any concerns for Saturday, where you just said you already have 1,500 young people registered? Yep. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, when was this exactly? I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 weeks ago, we had the first job fair at the Reggie Lewis. There are some almost 20 job fairs planned across different schools and community centers and pop-up sites, but this was our big central one. And about halfway into the fair, there was an incident that caused a panic and pushing, and public safety got involved, and the decision was made to shut that down at that moment. So just to guarantee that everyone who, we had a couple thousand students already registered for that job fair as well. About half of them came by that time and were able to get through, but we want to make sure that everyone who found that location more convenient would have the opportunity. So we're doing that again. We will have lots of presence of city staff and community members and safety on site as well, but it's going to be a great time, and look forward to seeing everyone there.
Absolutely. And Mayor, I'm going to do a couple of things in the background, because if you're watching on Java with Jimmy, it's in the link. I'll go to my personal Facebook page and put the link there. But we have the actual link that's hyperlink, and it's future. Mayor, look at me. Look what I did. I'm a proud.
It looks good.
No. I'm a proud BPS graduate, but I saw future boss because it was jobs. It's boss as in Boston. So
it's like the double meaning. But
we got it. Let me just edit it real quick. Okay. So the link is in, it is hyperlinked. And for those that are watching on James W. Hills, I'll put it in right now. Mayor, in reference to the open streets, and we did a little bit of the summer jobs. You talked about the small business piece as well and how important that is. And a lot of them participate in open streets. The other thing that I wanted to check
We
in
didn't
with
get to
you.
summer safety. Did you want to do a tiny bit on that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I didn't finish. Oh,
Did you
sorry, I
just
was going on
co-host
too
real?
long about
Did
the
you
other
just
things.
co-host real quick? Go ahead to summer safety. Go ahead.
So, as you know, because you've been part of it, and in the city's rhythms every single year, we are scaling up programming over the summer. So it's not just youth summer jobs. It's fifth quarter learning through Boston Public Schools. We had record participation in fifth quarter learning, which is programs that you can do either focus on math or reading or some other academic subject, but also usually there's another activity paired with it too. There's a site option at the zoo, for example, one that's a sailing program, and you kind of match the ability to have fun and grow and have a fun summer experience with also the fun of learning and getting to make sure you're staying updated on being ready to prepare for school in the fall as well. So that's been really successful. And we also just have been expanding programming over the weekends and late nights. Fridays at our BCYF community centers has been hugely popular, so we're scaling that up. And we're also just putting more resources into block parties. Different neighborhood associations or organizations can apply for a grant to host an event in your community. That's another way to just make sure safety is not just seeing numbers tick down when it comes to incidents of violence or crime. Safety is belonging. Safety is being excited to be out and about in your community, to get to know your neighbors. And so we want to empower every part of that. We're also, Dr. Yablo and the team have been working really hard for many months at this point to think about how to scale up violence prevention programs and our best clinicians and social and emotional supports throughout the city. So we are moving forward with all of that, and we'll be having a briefing on it at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. With that summer safety piece, funding comes up, level funding, summer jobs, and it's actually a question from Pastor Marion, and it's a good segue into my next piece. I'm going to cover a few things here, Mayor. So it's 9:51. There can be an impact of what's going on in Washington. You have made a decision to sue the Trump administration around a very important issue to all of us around, I believe, housing. Was it 48 million that they did, trying to mess with? There may be some shortfalls in the economic space. There may be some shortfalls in capital projects. Madison Park High School has been a very interesting issue for the past few years. I know that there's some work being done in the background. There's something that you will share with community today. So however you want to do it, with the lawsuit, squeezing in the Madison Park piece, because you got to make up where there's deficits and there's something that's happening here that actually addresses a few things. And then also, I forgot what the third thing was. So Mayor, if you do those two, I'll remember what the third thing is after. So the lawsuit and or Madison, just because this has to do with money, and there is an impact on the budget.
Yeah, and I think the overall idea is also uncertainty, right? The worst part of everything that's happening at the federal level is that it just feels like chaos. Things are being thrown out there. Many of them are blatantly unconstitutional or violate some other law, and so they're not actually happening because the courts are stopping them. Shout out to our incredible Attorney General, who is teamed up with AGs all across the country and really are in some ways a line of defense for cities and states against what's happening. We've been part of weighing in on a couple different angles of these lawsuits, whether it was on research and the jobs that are in the Boston area for our research institutions, or on public education, and now certainly the conversation with Congress about safety and our immigrant communities, and then now directly involved in a lawsuit protecting funding for housing, because we get $48 million as part of annual funding that comes from the federal government to address homelessness and housing security. It's really important. It goes out to organizations that do this work all across the city. And now there's a kind of extra layer where the Trump administration has put forward executive orders saying you can't take federal funding if you are going to do anything around DEI. So rather than saying, okay, we'll keep the funding, but change who we serve, that in some ways defeats the purpose of
Mhm.
being a city for everyone and being a
Yep.
home for everyone. So we're saying this is funding that is congressionally appropriated. You can't just decide as one person, even if you are the president, to say all of a sudden these cities can't get it because they're not bowing down to my anti-DEI agenda. So
Mhm.
we're full throttle on that one. But it does mean that we have to be intentional about how we're preparing for the worst case scenarios if this funding does somehow get stopped, even though we believe that it's against the Constitution and against federal laws to take that away. Madison, we are in the process of working through the MSBA, Mass School Building Authority application, so we could get state funding for that. Fingers crossed, we'd work very carefully on that initiative. We're also, in the meantime, not waiting for that full renovation to happen, even though the designs and all of that have been in process for some time. But even before then, we're making programs and making investments in programs that are going to make a difference right away. So next week there'll be a bigger announcement, but some of it.
Hold on, hold on. What little bit you could tell us now?
Oh,
A little bit.
you laid it out right here. Oh,
A little-
okay. I guess we're now. So we've come to an agreement that would basically put all of the Boston Public Schools renovations projects and major city work under some standards around who can get these jobs, the types of work that will be protected. So union jobs, representing and reflecting the diversity of our community, and with a specific focus in there as well that Madison Park students and graduates will have opportunities to go right into apprenticeship programs to do the work for our city. So we'll get more details out about all this, but I guess it's out now.
I mean, just, I'm an alumni, you know what I mean? And so
and not just an alumni, a distinguished lifetime achievement alumni, I hear. Or did I break your news now?
No, I said it yesterday, but Mayor, the only thing about lifetime achievement is, like, I don't feel old enough to have a lifetime achievement. It's I'm honored.
We can live many lifetimes in a lifetime, many lives in a lifetime. So think of it that way.
All right, Mayor, will you trying to spit a bar? Oh, we actually, wait a minute. I think we actually did well. We covered everything in the show. Mayor, I'm sorry. Mayor, we did well because I was really nervous, and we're actually we're 1 minute early. I have the opportunity. I want to ask you, Mayor, in the vein of what's going on with the federal thing, just a little pettiness. Did you see the Harvard edited meme going around that the Secretary of Education sent Harvard a letter, and supposedly they have not denied nor confirmed that they edited the letter. But I want to ask you, his brother Devin is getting ready to come in. I don't know if you could see it, but they edited.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, they said that Secretary of Education can't write. In all seriousness,
they did, like, they fixed his typos and stuff.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But in all seriousness, we're getting ready to talk to Devin from the Teachers Lounge. How important is the accuracy of education right now? Boston is historic when it comes to public education, Mayor. And I want to ask you to a little bit of Mayor, but as a parent, maybe. And I just thought of this in real time. How important is it that we value our teachers, the work that Brother Devin is doing with the Teachers Lounge? Because there's a lot that our teachers, they're carrying a lot. So as we get ready to bring him in, anything you want to say around what you're in any policy and parent around education?
Yeah, my whole heart, all my respect, admiration, gratitude goes to our educators. As a mom, this is it's maybe the biggest decision of trust of where you choose to let your kids go, right? When they're out of your care, out of your sight, they're in the hands of people you trust to love your children as much as you love your own children. And that is what our teachers do. That's what BPS is. And that's what all of our educators really are giving of themselves to make happen for the next generation. And it's incredible the work that they do. It's hard work. It's sacrificing their own family time, their energy. It takes so much, and we're really, really grateful and lucky to have the educators and school leaders in Boston that we do have. We are the first and oldest public school district in the country, and we deserve for our students to have the best. I know what it means to have gone to public schools my whole life growing up, and to have every door open from that. And that's what we're trying to do with PPS, is have our students see the classroom not just as the four walls within their school, but the entire city, right? Our museums, our colleges, our businesses and boardrooms and research centers. And so all those partnerships, all those connections to support what our teachers are doing in the classroom. We're proud to see that graduation rates are up, attendance is up. We have more school projects underway now than in the last 40 years combined. Teacher retention rates are the highest they've been in over a decade. So we have a strong foundation that we're building on. Certainly not satisfied yet, and I'm going to keep going until we make sure that our students have what they need. And really grateful and proud of the work that Superintendent Mary Skipper has been doing here too.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring Brother Devin in, but Mayor, as you was talking, you talked about teachers and the value and everything that they do. I would be remiss. We have not talked since the transition of young Lens. I know the family has wanted to mourn in their own way, but I wanted to allow you, if you wanted to say something, and in the transition, we did it the other day. We'll just take like 10 seconds of silence. As you were talking, I'm thinking about, we talked about sacrifices of teachers. There's our bus drivers, our bus monitors, our lunch mothers, our paras and whatnot. And so anything you would like to just say to community and I'm presume you've been in touch with the family. As you were talking, it was a thought. And so I got to go authentically with it. And maybe that's why we had that extra time and we were on time today.
Yeah. There's no words. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And I feel so devastated to see a bit of what this incredible family is experiencing. And there's nothing that can overcome that kind of a loss. It's a loss for our entire community. And so we are grieving alongside the family and are going to continue to do everything possible to support them in what they need, and also to make sure that whatever we learn from the ongoing investigation here is acted on quickly, and that we will do everything, whatever it takes, so that this never happens again.
Yes, ma'am. And Mayor, I'm sorry. It was in real time, and it just was a thought. And I move in an authentic space, and this is something that was really the community has really trying to do their best to support them and also give them space. But it was a thought, so I wanted to give you time, as a mom. But I'm sorry for because you're a human, and so is Brother Devin, and so I would want us to end this segment in some level of joy. Mayor, and again, I apologize. You are familiar with the work that the Teachers Lounge does. The Teachers Lounge does. You talked about the sacrifices, but there's also something that they do that induces joy for them with the prom and whatnot. So just anything you want to say technically, since we're here with the mayor, let's say Commissioner Devin Morris.
I'm wearing many hats. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. Well, shout out to all the work that you do, and just always good to see you. Love being in spaces with you. I learned so much from everything that you share, and I'm so grateful that you choose to share it in all the spaces that you do.
Likewise. Great to be here, Jimmy. Thank you for having me. I'm constantly. It's always a yellow beanie, but I'm wearing multiple hats at all times, so I'm always conscious of which hat am I wearing when I step into this space. So thanks for that reminder that I'm also here as a commissioner. Mayor, I know you have a busy morning. Thank you Thank you so much for the kind words. Always great to share space with you.
All right, nice
Both
to
of
meet
you, both of you, thank you. And again, Mayor, again, apologies, but I knew that.
It's important. It's important.
Yes, thank you. I can't even articulate it. So thank you so much, Mayor.
All right, see you later.
Devin, same with you. We'll apologize. As she was talking, it crossed my mind, and this is our authentic space. And so, what I will do, this is the first time here, and I've learned some things. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back, and we're going to talk with Devin Morris, who is the executive director and also co-founder of the Teachers Lounge. So we will be back with you in just a couple of seconds to hear from Devin and all the great work that they're doing. And we'll talk to you in just a few moments.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
Thank you, Brother Devin, for your patience, and you all as well in the audience who were glad to speak with the mayor. So, Brother Devin, first time on Java with Jimmy.
Listen, before we get started, I just want to. I know you as the interviewer, but the actor, the paid actor, that's new for me. Listen, okay, the residual checks must be hidden. Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning.
No.
Sorry.
We believe in accuracy and education. No, it's just important information to get out. That contract was done a long time ago. It helps me. You know what, Devin? I'm doing better at accepting flowers. So anyway, Brother Devin, it's good to have you in the room. You are here in your role as the Teachers Lounge. So I will get out the way that we do serve on the Black Men and Boys Commission appointed by Mayor Wu a couple of years ago. You serve as the lead of education. We're just naming that. You are not here in that role. I was just doing that joke. But you're here as a person.
And
you're here,
newly appointed vice chair. But again, I'm not here in that role. I just want to make sure you get my credentials right. Okay, go ahead. My bad.
If anybody from the commission is watching right now, hi Frank and Tito and Darian, leadership. Devin is the executive director and co-founder of the Teachers Lounge. But Devin, before we get into the work and do a little bit of a recap of the prom that you all have been doing for a few years, when people come into the platform, I think it's important for folks to know them and get a little sense of them. So if you don't mind, if you could just share with us a little bit of your journey, greet the audience, then share a little bit of your journey. And after your greeting greet the audience.
Yes.
A little bit of your journey and then describe the state of our teachers in word. Good morning.
Folks need to know about our relationship outside of why you're cutting up this morning.
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble.
Asking a lot. Okay. Good morning, all. Devin Morris, co-founder and executive director of the Teachers Lounge. We do work to recruit, revitalize, and retain educators of color throughout the greater Boston area and beyond. I'm gonna give you the abbreviated version of my background. I didn't start off in education. I was a career changer. I was out of undergrad. I was doing work in sneaker design and product development for about 5 years. Went back to get my MBA. Was doing.
Hold on. I didn't know about the sneaker design, but go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So the other piece of this, I'm going to tell you, I love Boston to death. Okay. I was a New York transplant. I love Boston to death, but I had a love-hate relationship with Boston early before I planted roots and I'm raising my children here. Don't do that. We don't got time on this.
You can't bring that up and say you want to get clarity in your role. So give clarity okay.
So I'm gonna catch so much shade for this. Boston was very much at that age. I came here for undergrad. I ran back to Brooklyn. I came here for grad school. I ran back to Brooklyn. I met my wife. I moved here, planted seeds. At that time, Boston was very much not New York. So socially, networking, nightlife, etc. It very much was not New York, and I was looking for that at the time. What I will say is, and I defend Boston at all ends, with the exception of professional sports. I defend Boston to all ends now, relative to what I would argue is that there was a renaissance that happened like around like 2018 in Boston, in terms of we saw more representation in political seats. We saw folks who wanted to create community step up and do so, but do so in a way that was more collaborative. So you've got your Boston Wild Black, you've got your light work events, you've got your kickbacks, you've got the rise in entrepreneurs in the service industry, like that were authentically from the city. So like all of that shifted what I would argue what the community started to look like throughout the city, with access to power to actually change circumstances, etc. So when all of that shifted, I was like, this is a city that not only do I want to contribute to, but not only do I want to be in, but I want to contribute to. And so planted roots back in 2011 after moving up here and transitioning into education, and haven't looked back since.
So tell us a little bit about how that translated into this concept of a teacher's lounge. And if you could just, for me, tell us, was it, there was a period for a few months some years ago where there was a lot of concentration on teachers' starting salary. There's an understanding of everything post-COVID and everything that came before that. And so what was sort of the catalyst where you all and my good sister Barrows came together and came up with this concept of the teacher's lounge? I presume there was some mental health motivation there.
There was a whole lot. So my co-founder, Jabari Petty, he and I, both New York City transplants, school administrators who were looking for community ourselves, but also we were trying to diversify our workforce at the schools that we worked in, and kept being told educators of color just aren't out there. And we knew it wasn't true. So it actually started as a sort of like social gathering to recharge, to fill our cups. And the idea was all of us who, if you're in education and you're looking for spaces to get work done, to grade, to do work outside of school time, the coffee shops in the hood closed at like 4:00. So like, where did you go to build community? What was your watering hole, etc.? So we decided, we put out an email blast to 100 educators of color, 1 degree of separation away. And we hosted our first event September 2018. We would have been happy if 30 people showed up. We sent that email out to 100. And at our first event, hosted at Good Life, rest in peace, we had 120 show up.
Okay.
In that first year, in 2018, we averaged 70 attendees per month at events. In year 2, in 2019, we had 150 per event. And it kept growing. And we at the height of COVID, we shifted to virtual programming. We averaged about 60 attendees in our virtual programming. And it was a beautiful space, but also what was happening at that time, when you talk to teachers, going back to your question about salary, teachers deserve more pay. And salary is not the reason that teachers were leaving, right? When you're called to this work, when you're committed to this work, yes, you should be paid more for your contributions, for your brilliance, for your dedication to our babies. And the reasons that teachers were citing was they didn't leave because of our students. They didn't leave because of salary. They left because of conflict with colleagues or conflict with leadership, a number of matters that had very little to do with the salary. And so what we found in that first year transition into year 2 was like, as dope and necessary of a respite that we were creating in this space, teachers were like, I still got to go back to a toxic work environment on Monday. So like, this is great. I escaped for a little bit, but how are you changing the systems and conditions that we are working in? And so what we started to do then, as part of our work, was sort of introduce this advocacy arm where we are listening to the community members, and then sharing with leadership, here's what our folks are saying, right? And then working with schools and districts around their equity-centered hiring and retention practices that's rooted in the lived experiences of our members to say, not just in Boston, here's what across the state educators of color are saying. Here's what they're saying in this demographic or age demographic or years of experience. Here's what they're saying in this geographic region, et cetera. But these are the things that we're thinking about in our ability to help shape and change systems and big P policy around teacher recruitment and retention. And so it's grown every year ever since, right? We started with that listserv of 100. We're well over 3,000 now across the Commonwealth and continuing to grow. And there's a lot of work still to be done. I think we're barely scratching the surface, if I'm being honest with you.
Everything that you said, gives justification for one of the reasons that we're here, because you all come to celebrate. But I just have to acknowledge the work and also keep in mind, we're kind of Boston centric. This is a state sort of initiative. And so policy is in, we both move in that space. So you went from just creating space to, and Brother Darian is on. Thank you, sir. He said goats. It went from a space of just gathering and support, creating spaces, to also now moving in policy, which is a lot of hard work. And we won't go there because we are actually, on in other parts of our life. We're in 2 meetings later today. So the sacrifices to which the mayor referred go beyond a lot of the classroom and the work that you're doing. Also name that you're a husband and a dad. But how did it transition from policy to one day? So one of the things, if you all don't know, if you've heard about this thing, and I've never been, thank you for the invite to the reception the other day. What? I'm going 1 year. It just sneaks up. And then by the time, so let's talk about it because this thing sells out quick. So what is this Teachers Prom? We have the foundation for why y'all do it, some of it, but how did it translate from policy to a party? Yeah,
other way around, party to policy. But
back to a party. Because when was the prom?
Well, so what I'll say, the evolution, right?
Okay.
We started with community. So I think about this. What happens often is that schools come to us and they say, we want you to help us recruit. And I say, well, what are you doing for educators of color who have already chosen your school or district? What are you doing to keep folks? How are you listening to the folks who have already chosen a profession they have every reason to run kicking and screaming from? So if you can answer those questions and then root your community cultivation at that school or district in their lived experiences, then now you have a recruitment arm. People will naturally leave your school, whether for a new opportunity or at the end of the day, and hold the door open and say, you should come here. I'm poured into, I'm well loved and cared for, I'm developed, etc. But when that's not happening, folks will go out and be like, don't come here. Don't, right? So we started with the community piece of it, built community. And yes, we danced a little bit in the process, right? We sang a little bit in the process, but that community cultivation was necessary. It also helped folks understand what was happening beyond their school buildings. Wait a minute, you mean y'all are doing this? Oh, I need to take that back to
best
my
practices,
team, right?
Yep.
You understand? So what people saw was the party, but what we were doing was building connective tissue across age demographics, across school buildings, across the city, and across city lines. And so what came out of that was now we actually started to recognize trends that would impact policy, that needed to impact systems, right? But in the process, you still need to pause and celebrate and pour back into the folks who pour into our babies all year round. And so what we said was we knew we wanted to do something for Teacher Appreciation Month. We knew we wanted something that was going to feel celebratory. And we didn't want to limit it to any one geographic region. So Tiziana Barros, who's our Director of Community and Culture, and our first hire, first full-time hire, she stepped in when no one else did and was.
Can I chime in and clarify?
Yeah.
I gave her, I attributed the co-founder to her, but it was Brother Jabari, only because I had seen a post on Instagram and I thought it referred to her. So
So she was giving flowers because of a lot of reasons, but she's the person who is deserving of the most flowers. She stepped in even before her full-time gig. She stepped in a volunteer role, and then I was like, you can't keep doing this for free. I believe in you. You pay people for their brilliance and for their contributions. And so she was stipend early on. She was trying to figure out some things, and then she decided to take a chance on us and join full time. And so she was doing that early stage work when we were coming out of COVID. Are we out of COVID? You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So to do that community cultivation work and build that out. And so she was a big force behind our very first. It wasn't a prom. The very first one was a semi-formal. We did it in like 3 months, and it was beautiful. T is the real deal. Shout out to Charlene. And so she helped build this over time into what it is today. What started with 100 folks at that semi-formal is now 500 educators of color and friends at the Westin, and continues to grow. Guest speakers we had this past year. We had the incredible sister Brittany Packnett Cunningham. Last year we had my Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley come and speak. We had Dr. Chris Emden the year before. We issue awards for brilliance, and we partnered with Janae Osterhout over at the Globe and the Beautiful Resistance. So there's a Beautiful Resistance Award for excellence in teaching and leadership. There's a $5,000 stipend attached to building a platform for teachers to share their brilliance, school leaders to share their brilliance, and pour back into our community. So again, when I tell you it's way more than a party, I'm fine if that's all some folks see. But anyone who knows and takes part in our programming knows that it's so much more. Professional development, coaching, and mentoring for early career educators of color so that they stay longer. And this idea of thinking about what we call the year 4 fall off. If you look at data, they'll see that educators of color are leaving at a higher clip than our white counterparts. But more importantly, folks are leaving before year 4. And so what does it look like to retain educators of color for longer? And that means that we need coaching and mentorship from folks with shared identities who understand your path. Shout out to Tashad.
She said retention is so important.
Exceptionally important.
Burnout, very
folks,
real.
Folks want to recruit. Folks, you fill in a holy bucket. If you don't, and I don't mean heavenly holy, I mean it right? The water is poured. There you go. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, so if in doing so, you can't start with recruitment. You have to start with retention. And then when you think about this, you got to pour into folks. And I always say, you gotta, my parents understand, you got to hide the vegetables. So again, you see partying, you see the social dynamics of what we are doing. There's professional development embedded in it, right? We're giving folks what they need embedded in what they want. And I think often we do this thing where we ask teachers to come after school for things. We ask unpaid. We ask folks to go through programs like our Clock Fellowship, the Classroom Leaders of Color, is for early career educators of color. There's a stipend attached to it. There's coaching and mentoring attached to it. What does it look like to give folks what they need embedded in what they want so that this becomes the profession that it deserves to be and revered as one of the most essential frontline workers, essential workers on the planet? And I say it all the time. You could, somebody's going to say doctors. Who teaches doctors?
Teachers.
You could say lawyers. Lawyers need teachers. Presidents of the United States.
Hold on.
Secretaries of education need teachers to help them understand what AI is. But that's a whole other.
No, it's A1. She said A1. And then did you see this?
She needs help. I was there. I was at the conference.
When she said it?
Listen to me. And then I had to play it back several times because I was like, I know I didn't hear her repeatedly say A1.
Okay. So let me be clear. When I said party, it started with the gathering. You realized that you needed to move in policy, but in that work deserves sort of this signature. Would you agree that this is your signature event of the year.
Right.
And so, but it is, the event is important. The work is getting done all the time, but we got to have joy. Educators of color with a, emphasis on Black and brown, and I'm sure women as well, and all across the spectrum of marginalized teachers in our community. And so what this thing has really grown, Devin, like so you skipped 20. When was the first prom? When did you take it to that sort of piece? I sound like this sort of piece.
3 years ago was our first official prom.
So 22 or 23. Right. So this, and speaking of a beautiful resistance, guess who just joined over on Instagram? She's going to kill me.
What up, Jay?
Hi, Nene.
What up, Jay?
How did you know? I know. I'm about to get a text or whatever, and I'll mess around and call her and say, "You want to share some words with Devin?" But no, Janae, Devin just talked about the Beautiful Resistance Award for excellence. What is it again? ABR.
Yeah. A Beautiful Resistance Award for excellence in teaching and leadership.
In teaching and leadership. So Janae, she said, making big change. The Teachers Lounge is a movement. Go big, Dev. Go Jimmy. So if you want to say something, Janae,
we love Jo.
Look. You can just call me. But no,
I'm calling her Nene from now on, just to be clear. I've never called her Nene in my life.
I'm watching the comments in my phone. But it is important because let's keep it real. Play on words, but that prom is a form of beautiful resistance to the burnout. To sometimes the things that you all realize in fighting for education. And so where is it going? Hold on. I just love the moment, not in public, Dev. So, all right, just a moment. Janae, we thank you for all that you do. So tell us, like, what is next for it? Are you going to brand it? Like, how do you ensure, and duplication, what's the word? Replication in other cities or whatnot is cool, but
highest form of flattery, but
it is. And you're like, do the schools support you?
Yeah. Okay, so listen, we and again, shout out to T, shout out to my entire team, shout out to Signature Designs, shout out to So Phenomenal Agency. There's so many folk, like, we don't do anything alone. We do everything in community. And so nothing we do is free for us to put on, but everything we do, with the exception of prom, is completely free of charge to educators of color. We want to reduce the barriers to accessing resources and what you need, right? Prom, though, we learned early on, if you don't make people put a little stake in the game, then we spend all this money and folks don't always show up to free events. So it's the one thing that we do charge for, but T worked her butt off to ensure that schools were sponsoring tables for their educators of color. You think about, again, this is at the start of Teacher Appreciation Month. This is an end of year celebration. It's a retention strategy. Again, one party is not going to keep folks, but I promise you it is part of a bigger, if it's part of a bigger strategy, it works.
They're in community, celebratory community, and you don't know what type of networking and couples come out of our proms.
Well, so I don't want to talk about that. I said from the beginning, we're gonna get ourselves in trouble if we go down that route. Folks are like, hey, you should do a speed date. No, we will not. Nope. If you meet somebody, you meet somebody, but that's not on us.
Let's see if they're in the same school. You don't want to give that principle.
That's right. So T worked hard to get schools to purchase tables, right? Last year, we thought we were doing something. We set a goal of 25 of the 50 tables this year, and T killed it. 40 tables, 40 out of the 50 were purchased by schools and districts, which means that 400 of our educators of color and friends who showed up on Saturday did not come out of pocket for the table and the experience. Now they came decked out. I know they spent some money on the gowns and the tuxes and all, and they looked incredible, but that is exceptionally important to us. To ask where it's going, it's too soon for us to say explicitly. I think we recognize that
you don't want to drop no. You don't want to drop early
no,
info
no, no.
for next year?
I think what I want to, I know you're always looking for exclusives. The reality is that we know we could go bigger. And you know that when you grow too fast, it also can take away from the experience. And so recognizing we're trying to find that happy balance of meeting the demand and desire for growth, but not growing too big too fast.
Yeah.
And then watering down the experience of folks in attendance. So it's a TBD.
Okay.
We love our partners at the Westin, Copley, who have been with us for the past couple of years. So we'll see.
Okay. All right.
We'll see.
I am going to do my best. So I think I asked you one day when I first heard about it, realized the tickets were gone. I was like, do you got to be a teacher to be part of the Teachers Lounge?
You did say that.
And what was your response?
So it's educators of color and friends. That and friends are our white educator allies. There are our school administrators, counselors, social workers. It's folks outside of education. Think about this. We always say there are some nights where we have for programming, we'll have lawyers in the space.
Yep.
Who are like, we need this community as well. And what I always say is, one, who doesn't need to know a good lawyer? Like,
yeah.
Especially right now. But two, think about for our teachers, the ability to connect with folks like you and others who are doing amazing work in the community to come in and be guest speakers for their students. Sometimes it's hard to build that network to know who to talk to bring in. That's a beautiful space to make those things happen. So, you know, our grading parties, I'm always looking for folks to come in and volunteer for our grading parties, which is really just a space for teachers to come in and get work done. So it could be lesson planning, it could be grading, it could be sort of problem of practice, but we have folks who are not in education who will come to that space and volunteer their time. It could be, you remember Scantrons? We don't really got Scantrons. You remember the bubbles for tests? You know, when you fill in the bubbles on tests?
Yeah.
So sometimes
ABC and all of the above.
I thought you was about to tell us how you answered, you know, the abracadabra. Never mind.
It was this formula?
No, that was like when you didn't know the answers to a test, you did A, B, A, C.
I did the unrandom on quite a few tests. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the year that I would have been against class, but
I had a feeling, Jimmy. My point being, though, is that folks, I had a feeling that, no. So folks can come in and help people grade where they have like their grading sheet. So it's easy to come in and just go, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to use. And you help folks get caught up on work. You know, there's this thing people think, oh, well, teachers get summers off. You're done at 2:00. Like that is not an accurate depiction of what goes into teaching, right? The school day may end at 2:00, but folks are making phone calls to connect with families. They're following up with students. They're grading, they're lesson planning, they're printing. Like there's so much that goes into to the work that goes beyond that dismissal time that I don't think folks tend to think about. So we're always like, how do we help you get caught up on work so that you can be a full human in other spaces? So that's what those grading parties are about. And we always say, welcome volunteers and others in that space as well.
And you feed them and
absolutely.
Is there a donation thing on you guys' page?
That's right. On the website. Yep.
So I put the everyone, if you go in my comments on both Java with Jimmy and I have it, Devin. I hear you typing like crazy.
You heard me? I was like, I'm not about to miss this opportunity.
There is in the comments, everyone, on Java with Jimmy and YouTube. There is a link here to go and make a donation. And so even if you can't go and show up, if you want to contact the Teachers Lounge and maybe say, hey, I'll send a couple of pizzas, I'll send some water or juice. I'm not telling y'all to send soda. Send coffee and tea and donuts, healthy options, fruit, but get in contact with Brother Devin. What is the best way, not personal, but through the Teachers Lounge for folks to be able to get in touch with you so you're not getting, over bombarded?
Through the website. There's a contact us link on the website.
Right there, home, and then contact. There we go. All right. So y'all getting all the links.
Perfect. That's the best way to get in touch with us. We have a small but mighty team folks who will get back to you, and T is typically the point person around that sort of community engagement and support. She's incredible. The whole team, Evelyn, Elena, the whole team, our advisory council, our board. We don't do this work alone. There's so many folks who have made us what we are today as we continue to grow. Absolutely.
And Miss T, thank you. She's in there talking about donations. I want to make sure I acknowledge folks. We got Janae. Shout out to the real voice of real GG brother Garth over there on Instagram. But Devin, I thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding around Janae is still on. She said the entire team is amazing. So it's thank you for what you do, Devin, being a teacher. We joked about it, but also I get to see you serve as leader of the education committee and the advocacy. So you do it here. It's just what you do.
That is real. So, what up, P? I see P in the chat.
Who's in the chat? How are you watching the chat? Oh, Pam. Oh, yeah. Pam. Are you going out next? When is it? Ooh.
Yeah, Thursday. It's tomorrow. BEDF. The breakfast is tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m.
Hold on. Let's do this right, brother.
Okay.
Do it again. Look in the camera.
Tomorrow morning. Look, now you're gonna put me on the spot. And 7:30 a.m. tomorrow.
You know we high yellow. We turn red real quick.
I'm gonna turn red real quick. But I need Pam to put this in the chat but the breakfast tomorrow supporting a really incredible cause, 7:30 a.m. If it's at the same location, I don't know. I have the details in my.
She's gonna
email.
Hi Pam.
She's gonna.
They'll be in the comments in a minute. I know she's sitting back laughing and shaking her head at both of us
at the same time. Time.
Look, are you going to Facebook to look for the flyer?
I'm going to a personal text that she sent me to make sure that I don't get this wrong.
I think I got the link in my text. Let's make up for it.
Here before we go. Voices of Equity annual breakfast, Hibernian Hall, tomorrow, May 8th, 7:30 a.m. It's an incredible cause. Support our babies, support our educators.
There it is. At who? That's why I didn't go last year. And that's at 7:30.
You were up at 6:45 texting. So I know. So you can make it. I got you, Pam.
We really appreciated Devin joining us this morning here in the job. We got to have these times. Somebody knocked at my door and I didn't expect nobody. We have to have these times of, joy because we talked about a lot of heavy stuff. And speaking of heavy stuff, my good friend and mentor in this space often asked about, what was it like to you went to DC. I talk about what you do on sort of the local level. You do the state level. You went and did some Fed level advocacy. Can you tell us a little bit about that before you go?
Yeah. Our incredible Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, invited me and Lenny from Frugal Bookstore, along with Kimberly Crenshaw, and along with George Johnson, who wrote the book, All Boys Aren't Blue, to have a conversation about book bans and the power of Black storytelling. And so, one of those, this was not something that I thought I'd be called to talk about, but how it's impacting particularly educators of color, how it's impacting how we teach truth to our babies is something that spoke to me tremendously. So she invited us down to the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference to have this discussion. It was a beautiful turnout. It was really beautiful to actually see how many local folks, Bostonians, who were down representing the city in that space and talk about this important topic, and to hear, sort of the varying perspectives. So you have authors who are telling their stories. You had the first Black bookstore owner talking about the impact on book sales and how bookstores can become a safe haven if there is an attack on libraries. What does that look like to support local Black businesses and bookstores? So it was a beautiful discussion. but and one that has continued since. And so shout out to So Phenomenal Agency, Fenna put together, along with Signature Designs, put together Blacktoberfest, and at that space we hosted a banned bookstore, right? And so this was a really beautiful event where we were able to, on the heels of that advocacy that our Congresswoman was doing, to highlight and sell, with support of Frugal Bookstore, the top banned Black books, right? The top banned books by Black authors. And you would be surprised at the list, right? That of these books that are being banned. Some autobiographies, like, so it's not even like, you know, they're banning sort of the fiction, right? They're also
they're banning facts,
that, which is a wild concept.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know how detailed you want to go, but that was a really beautiful experience, an opportunity, and one that we've been carrying forward as much as possible to make sure that we're talking about.
Devin, we may need to talk more, because I think as things are, you know, you talk about the evolution of the Teachers Lounge in a good way, as things are evolving and things are going back to the state, there is some buffer, you know, here in Massachusetts and Boston. Right. But we may need to figure out maybe how to do sort of a, I mean, this is May, but maybe sometime in August, or if there's anything significant during the summer, if there's if there's ever any point where you need to say, Jimmy, this is going on and it's going to impact parents and things like that. Let's come on and do an after dark or Saturday morning session, and we can figure out how to make it a presentation. We can do it publicly. And I just, with everything that you're doing, I'm hearing from you the education of our parents. We need to make sure that they're set. The focus is on the teachers, and I know that you are focused on the teachers, but if we can get that information that you all are, you know, what you're advocating for, and
man, listen,
the alarm,
I say it all the time. Most parents who are not educators don't realize what they're up against with our education system until they have kids. Until they're
up against, and that's the thing and so that's why I'm saying I don't want it to be too late. If there's something that I'm not trying to pull y'all out of y'all focus, but if you got a couple of people that need to come on and say, hey, this is about to happen with IEPs, the state wants to do this, but they can't because of federal, then we need to have a session about it. So
we got work to do. This is part of our expanded advocacy. And I mean, this is no different. I don't know if people understand this. This is no different than a phone call between the two of us of how we would cut up and talk about
it was it was a little more reserved, a little bit.
Okay, you tell on yourself.
No, you the one who was up here acting up, calling people out, saying they was texting and all of that. But no, it was definitely good to hear from you, and I just really wanted to hear about the prom, because that is something that is you guys' baby. And it needs to be coddled there, grown there, developed there, and stay right there.
The one thing I will say to you, and just if you don't mind me using your platform for one second, we operate at a deficit every year because for prom, in terms of you think about, like, ticket sales don't cover the cost of prom. I say that transparently just to say we still know it's the right investment. What I think T has done a great job of, and our team has done a great job of, is asking for help and asking for sponsorship. We've had incredible sponsorship over the past couple of years from State Street, from New Commonwealth Fund, NCF, and a few others. I'm probably going to get in trouble for not remembering everybody. But the point being is that sponsorship is the area where we can grow to continue to put on this event, continue to grow this event. So if folks have connections to anyone who would be a willing sponsor for this event, we're starting those conversations now.
Okay, good to know. And we'll check in maybe as early as August, or if anything comes up beforehand, let me know. And then maybe we can check in like in October after school starts back up, and let's figure that out, Devin, how we can maybe do some sort of partnership to just, and it builds support. And the more you know, the more you know. So
that's right.
Brother, thank you. We've been here for an hour, and I'm going to go give a little bit of commentary and then let folks go.
All right. Appreciate
I
you always.
appreciate you, man. Absolutely, brother. Thank you. And I'm going to get you, tell your teachers, well, the ones that are local, we got a health fair coming up, Devin. And I would love for the teachers to come to be able to get some, because, you know, sometimes y'all are busy and don't keep up with your appointments as caregivers. But we're giving away $1,000 at this health fair. We're giving away, if they register and show up, we're giving away, they're entered in to get $100 gift card. So we got a lot of resources. I'll get you the information.
Get me the information today. I'm behind. Our newsletter was supposed to go out. I'm telling them myself now. It was supposed to go out already. So.
Can I get till 12?
Yeah.
I got an 11:30 call. Okay, and I'll get you the link in the flyer. Okay.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Yo, thank you. See, I forgot we're on the show. Talk to you later, Devin. Peace. That is a brother. We appreciate the work that he does. And so I'm going to get ready to wrap up because I don't know who's knocking at my door and I wasn't expecting nobody. And so, don't forget the health fair is taking place on May 17th. Please make sure you go and register. When you register, you are automatic. Well, when you register and you are one of the first 50 people to show up and check in, you are automatically entered into a raffle to win $100. Additionally, at some point during the day, we are going to draw a raffle for $1,000. But the most important thing, come get the health information you need. There's a lot of accurate information. You heard the point that Devin made about, is COVID over? Thank God that a lot of us realize it's not COVID and it's allergies. COVID is still active. You can talk to doctors and nurses. There will be a large conglomerate of cancer specialists there. Be the Match will be there. If you want to donate bone marrow to help someone, we're going to have nutritionists there. We're going to have folks that move in diabetes there. We're going to have nurses and doctors, and we're going to have a DJ. And as soon as I pay this bill, I've been teasing it, but everybody got to eat is supplying the food. Now, it is lunch food. We're not having Manny come with the grill and do his little lobster, his lobster thing and whatnot. Y'all not getting lobster at the health fair, but everybody got to eat is going to be our food partner. Also with DJ Jeff 2 times will be DJing, and we got a nice little gift for y'all thanks to a partnership with Miss Teresa. So we're going to get ready to go. Marv, how you just commenting now, man? Good to see you in the room, brother. Another brother that moves in education at Tech Goes Home. I almost said Tech Boston. Good, Marv. I got to follow up with you on behalf of a board I'm on. I'll text you after the show. All right. I think that's it for me, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today is Wednesday. Do I want to take a break tomorrow? I got a lot of stuff to do for the health fair. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Y'all had Anthony Stroud. What's up, bruh? Good to see you in the room. We'll be back tomorrow. Mother Lisa, good to see you. Tashad, as always, good to see you. I'm not going to get into naming all the names again because I'm going to get in trouble being here another 5 minutes. Thank all of you that joined us today. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Have a great day. Please share this information or share this live with someone, especially what Brother Devin talked about and the great work that the Teachers Lounge is doing. So I'm glad to have you here with us today, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.